Welcome back to Enigmatic Echoez. Grab whatever you're drinking because tonight we're driving into the middle of absolute nowhere. The Australian outback, home to venomous everything, spiders the size of dinner plates, and apparently a ghost light that likes to tailgate. Yeah, Australia looked at deadly snakes and deadly spiders and said, not enough, let's also haunt the actual darkness. This is the legend of the Min Min Light. Let's get into it. Our story is rooted in the Chanel country of Western Queensland. Flat, dry, endless, red dirt between towns so far apart the road signs practically apologize. Long before any European ever set a boot in that dirt, Aboriginal Australian communities were already telling stories about strange lights moving across the plains at night. In some traditions, they're described as the spirits of the dead, still walking their country. Some elders have said the lights actually became more frequent once Europeans started moving through their land, which, if you think about it, is a pretty pointed piece of commentary from the universe. The name Min Min itself is disputed. In full transparency, nobody actually agrees on where it comes from. One theory ties it to the local Aboriginal word from the Cloncurry area. The other, more commonly repeated story ties it to a real physical place, the Min Min Hotel, a rough outback pub that once sat between the towns of Boulia and Winton. That pub is gone now, ghost town, just dirt and memory. But according to the legend, back around 1918, a stockman was riding the Kennedy Development Road past the ruins of the old hotel at night and looked back over his shoulder to see a light, hovering, watching, following. He rode off. The light kept pace. Here's the part that should make the hair on your arms stand up. That's not even the earliest sighting. Some accounts push European reports of these lights back to 1838. Decades before the stockmen ever saddled up, which means whatever's out there, it was doing this long before it had a name. Now, the stockman story is the famous one, but it's far from the only one, and this is where it stops being campfire folklore and starts sounding like actual testimony. Truck drivers running freight through the outback at night have reported lights pacing alongside their vehicles for miles, matching speed, ducking behind ridgelines, then reappearing exactly where they should if something were tracking the truck rather than just floating there randomly. Locals near Boulia have long described the lights as low, glowing orbs, sometimes white, sometimes amber, occasionally described as red, that hover a few feet off the ground and drift toward a person before stopping just short, like something decided whether or not to close the distance. And then there's the detail that shows up again and again in oral accounts. The one that turns this from pretty light in the desert into something closer to a horror script. When people run from it, it follows. When people stop, it stops too. Sit with that for a second. Out there alone, no other headlights for 100 miles, and the thing behind you adjusts its pace to match yours. By 1934, the legend had leaked fully into mainstream Australian culture. A poem published that December told of a horseman near the old Min Min Hotel who spotted what he called a phosphorescent shape in the dark and bolted in terror. The poem spread through the newspapers, and the Min Min Light stopped being a local ghost story and became a national one. Today, the town leans into it hard. There's a whole visitor attraction built around the legend, because when your outback town's biggest expert is an unexplained light that stalks travelers, you might as well sell tickets. Now, because I know some of you are already reaching for the, well, actually, let's talk science, because the scientific explanations are almost as unsettling as the ghost story. The leading theory comes from Professor Jack Pettigrew, of the University of Queensland, who spent years studying the phenomenon. His explanation, a fata morgana, a complex mirage caused by temperature layers in the atmosphere, bending light from a distant source, like a far-off vehicle's headlights, and stretching it, floating it, projecting it across the horizon like a ghost thrown by a projector nobody's operating. It's named after Morgan Le Fay, the sorceress from Arthurian legend, famous for conjuring illusions to lure sailors off course, which honestly feels a little too on the nose for a light that lures people off desert roads. Other explanations on the table, well, swamp gas ignition, ball lightning, static discharge off the outback's dry electrical air, or simply distant vehicle lights refracted across dozens of kilometers of flat terrain. Here's the uncomfortable part though. None of those explanations fully account for the pacing, for lights that seem to slow down when a person slows down, that seems to respond, that seems to hover at a consistent, deliberate distance. A mirage doesn't know you're running. A mirage doesn't wait. Maybe it's optics. Maybe it's something older than optics. The scientists have a theory. The traditional owners have a story that predates the scientists by thousands of years. Take your pick of which one keeps you up at night. So what do we do with all that? A light with no confirmed source, first reported before photography existed, still being seen today by truckers, ranchers, and tourists chasing the legend on purpose. Maybe it's an inverted mirage bouncing headlights across 100 kilometers of dead flat outback. Or maybe, and I'm just saying maybe, something out there in the Chanel country has been walking that land a lot longer than we have, and it's just checking to see if we're still trespassing. So, if you ever find yourself alone on a dirt road in outback Queensland at 2 a.m. and you see a light drifting toward you from the dark, my professional advice, as someone who has done zero field work and intends to keep it that way, do not test whether it can run faster than your car. Thanks for riding along with me into the void tonight. If you liked getting mildly haunted, hit follow and I'll see you at the next light in the dark. Hopefully one that isn't currently following either of us home. Good night.